The acrid stench of wet cement hit me like a punch to the gut the second I flung open my front door. It wasn't just a smell, it was an assault, sharp and industrial, conjuring images of torn-up city sidewalks or half-built skyscrapers. But this was no urban jungle. This was Willow Creek, a postcard-perfect suburb where manicured lawns gleamed under the morning sun and every mailbox stood at a regulation angle. My pulse quickened. Something was wrong, dead wrong. Then came the sound, a harsh, metallic scrape, like a blade dragged across stone. It echoed from the direction of my driveway. I bolted outside, my sneakers pounding the dew-slick grass, heart hammering as I rounded the corner. There it was, me 1965 Silverthorne Spectre, a V-vintage masterpiece, so rare you could count the Sir VYing models on one hand. It was my pride, my obsession, my escape. And now it was drowning in a grotesque slather of fresh cement. The hood was buried under a gray, oozing mess, the driver's side door smeared like a vandalized canvas. The front bumper sagged into a hardening puddle that threatened to swallow the tires whole. My stomach churned. I'd spent years tracking down this car, pouring my soul into its gleaming chrome and purring engine. Now it looked like a relic pulled from a construction site. Standing beside the wreckage was Monica Hargrove, the newly minted president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. She wore a crisp lavender tracksuit, her auburn hair scraped into a high ponytail that bobbed with every self-righteous gesture. In one hand, she gripped a cement-crusted trowel. In the other, she brandished her phone, snapping photos with the glee of a general claiming a battlefield. Her eyes locked onto mine, and a smirk curled her lips. "Well, look who's finally awake," she called, her voice dripping with condescension. "Maybe now you'll pay attention to the rules, Ethan Caldwell." Rage surged through me, hot and blinding. I forced myself to stay rooted, fists clenched at my sides. "What the hell have you done?" I growled, gesturing at the dripping disaster that was my car. "Are you out of your damn mind?" Monica's nose wrinkled, as if I'd offended her delicate sensibilities. "Language, Ethan. No need to get crude. You've been flouting HOA regulations for weeks. I warned you multiple times. This," she waved the trowel at my car, "is what happens when you treat our neighborhood like your personal speedway." I could barely process her words. Speedway? I moved to Willow Creek 3 months ago, seeking a quiet corner to blend in a necessity for someone like me. By day, I passed as a freelance tech consultant, tinkering with my car as a hobby. But that was a lie, a carefully crafted mask. I was an operative for a covert government agency, tasked with infiltrating networks that most people didn't even know existed. My late-night drives, my odd hours, they weren't joyrides. They were surveillance runs, tracking leads on a trafficking ring that had threads weaving closer to this sleepy suburb than anyone could imagine. The Silverthorne Spectre wasn't just a car. It was my cover, my lifeline, my way to slip through the cracks unnoticed. And now Monica Hargrove, with her clipboard and her vendetta, had turned it into a battleground. "This car," I said, my voice low and trembling, "is worth more than your house. You've committed a felony, Monica. You're not walking away from this." She laughed, a sharp, brittle sound that set my teeth on edge. "Oh, Ethan, you're so dramatic. Your little hot rod has been an eyesore, parked crooked in your driveway, for all to see. And don't think I haven't heard you roaring out of here at 2 a.m. It's disruptive. It's selfish. I'm just enforcing the standards we all agreed to." "Move away from my car," I said, stepping closer, my voice steady despite the fire in my chest. "You have no idea what you've just started." Monica tossed her head, unfazed. "I know exactly what I've done. I've sent a message. You should have kept that beast in your garage, like the rules say. Maybe now you'll think twice before parading it like some trophy." She pocketed her phone and sauntered off, Leah VYing me staring at the ruin of my Spectre. I stood frozen for a moment, the weight of her audacity sinking in. Then panic took over. The cement was already setting, its surface dulling as it hardened. If I didn't act fast, the damage would be permanent. I sprinted to the garage, grabbed a hose, and started blasting water at the mess, praying I could loosen the top layer before it fused to the paint. Gray sludge trickled down the driveway, but thick clumps clung stubbornly, mocking my efforts. Neighbors began to emerge, drawn by the spectacle. Some gawked openly, others whispered behind their hands. Willow Creek thrived on gossip, and this was the kind of drama that could fuel coffee clatches for months. "That's Ethan's fancy car, isn't it?" I overheard one woman murmur. "Monica's gone too far." "Serves him right," another voice countered. "Always peeling out at night, like he owns the place." I ignored them, scrubbing furiously, my arms burning with the effort. The specter was more than a carrot, was a piece of me, a tangible link to a life I could control when everything else felt like chaos. Losing it wasn't an option. A shadow fell across the driveway, and I looked up to see a man in his early 40s, broad-shouldered with a faded baseball cap pulled low. He carried a bucket of soapy water and a sponge, his expression a mix of sympathy and resolve. "Rough morning," he said, setting the bucket down. "I'm Nate, from across the street. Need a hand?" I managed a tight nod. "Appreciate it. I can't believe she did this." Nate shook his head, dipping the sponge into the water. "Monica's been on a power trip since she got elected. She's got half the block scared to plant the wrong flowers. But this is unhinged." We worked side by side, chipping away at the cement with plastic tools to avoid scratching the paint. Nate's steady presence calmed me, grounding my spiraling thoughts. He told me about Monica's reign of terror fines for minor infractions, threats over unapproved paint colors, even a rumor she'd had someone's dog impounded for barking too much. "She's got the HOA bylaws memorized," he said, prying off a chunk of cement. "Uses them like a weapon." My jaw tightened. "She's about to find out what happens when you pick a fight with the wrong person." Nate glanced at me, curious but cautious. "Just watch yourself. She's slippery. Always has an angle." As we worked, I couldn't shake the irony. Here I was, a man trained to dismantle criminal networks, outmaneuvering threats most people couldn't fathom, and I was being undone by a suburban despot with a trowel. My current mission was delicate tracking a smuggling operation that might have a hub just 20 miles from Willow Creek. The Spectre was my excuse to prowl the back roads, tailing suspicious trucks under the cover of night. If Monica's stunt drew too much attention, it could unravel everything. My cover depended on being unremarkable, just another guy with a loud car and a boring job. But now, thanks to her, I was the neighborhood's main attraction. By the time we'd done what we could, the Spectre looked like it had been through a war zone. Scratches marred the hood, and the headlights bore faint cracks. The paint was dulled where the cement had eaten into it, Leah VYing a ghostly residue. Nate stepped back, wiping his brow. "That's the best we can do without a professional. You'll need a detailer, maybe a partial repaint." I set down my scraper, exhaustion creeping in. "Thanks, Nate. You didn't have to do this." He shrugged. "Nobody should face Monica alone. Just be careful. She'll come at you harder now." I spent the next hour photographing the damage, documenting every angle with clinical precision. My training kicked, INEVY Denke was everything. I needed a paper trail, something to nail Monica to the wall. As I snapped a close-up of the scarred fender, a voice broke my focus. "Hey, sorry to barge in, but this looks bad." I turned to see Lila, a woman I vaguely recognized from the next block. She clutched a small camera, her expression grim. "I saw Monica this morning, hauling a bag of cement mixed to your place. It seemed weird, so I started taking pictures. Then she just poured it. I got it all." My pulse spiked. "You're saying you have proof? Actual photos of her doing this?" Lila nodded, hesitating. "Yeah, but I'm nervous about sharing them." Monica's vindictive. She once reported my shed for being an inch too close to the property line. I don't want her coming after me. I softened my tone, sensing her fear. "I get it, but those photos could stop her. I'll keep your name out of it, I swear. Just let me use them to file a report." She bit her lip, then handed me a USB drive. "They're on here. I'm sick of her ruling this place like a dictator. Someone's got to stand up to her." I took the drive, a spark of hope igniting. "Thank you, Lila. This means more than you know." After she left, I called the police. A dispatcher promised an officer would come by. and I paced the driveway, my mind racing. I had to play this carefully. My real identity couldn't surface, not to the cops, not to anyone. My agency had drilled it into me. Avoid entanglements, keep the locals at arm's length. But Monica had forced my hand, and I wasn't about to let her walk away unscathed. Officer Ramirez arrived, a wiry man with a notepad and a skeptical squint. He surveyed the specter, letting out a low whistle. That's some damage. You say the HOA president did this? Not just say, I replied, handing him my phone with the photos and the USB drive. I've got pictures of her in the act, plus witnesses. Her name's Monica Hargrove. She claims it's about neighborhood standards, but this is straight-up vandalism. Ramirez raised an eyebrow, flipping through the images. This is pretty damning. I'll need your statement, and we'll talk to her. Just a heads up, these HOA disputes can get messy. She might argue she had authority. Authority? I scoffed. To destroy a car worth 6 figures? I want charges pressed. He nodded, jotting notes. We'll see where it goes. Could be criminal mischief, maybe more, depending on the car's value. I'll follow up. As Ramirez drove off, I caught sight of Monica across the street, watching from her porch. She wore a wide-brimmed hat, her posture relaxed, as if daring me to escalate. I turned away, refusing to give her the satisfaction. Inside, I called my insurance company, bracing for a fight. The adjuster was sympathetic, but warned that HOA-related claims could hit snags. We'll need the police report, she said, and any proof you've got. The next few days were a blur of frustration. Monica didn't let up. She left a notice on my door, declaring me a non-compliant resident and demanding a due lot $600 fine for improper vehicle storage. I crumpled it, my anger simmering. I emailed the HOA board, attaching photos of the damage and the police report, demanding hearing. No one replied. Meanwhile, the specter sat in a repair shop, the mechanic shaking his head at the estimate. Thousands, he said. Paint's ruined in spots, and the bumper needs replacing. Then, on a rainy Thursday, my phone rung an encrypted line from my agency. My handler's voice was clipped. Caldwell, we've got movement. A deal's going down near your area next week. You're on surveillance. Keep your cover tight. Understood, I said, my gut tightening. There's a complication, though. The HOA's causing trouble, vandalized my car, trying to push me out. A pause. Handle it quietly. We can't afford exposure. Your location's too valuable. I hung up, the weight of my dual life pressing down. I was juggling a covert op and a suburban feud, and both felt like they could blow up in my face. Over the weekend, Monica doubled down. Nate texted me screenshots of her posts on the neighborhood app, calling my property a public nuisance and hinting at suspicious active VY because of my late-night drives. She was rallying her allies, painting me as a threat. I gritted my teeth, knowing I couldn't respond, not yet. My mission came first. Monday morning, I left for the city, joining a stakeout at an abandoned lot where we suspected a weapons drop. For 3 days, I lived on coffee and adrenaline, tracking vans and logging license plates. The Spectre's absent Stunjet was the perfect car for blending into the night. On the second night, Nate texted again. Monica had escalated, circulating a petition to have me EVY Ted for endangering community safety. I want to scream, but I shoved the phone away. Focus, Ethan. The op wrapped with a bust, crates of illegal rifles seized, 2 suspects in cuffs. My handler, a gruff woman named Vargas, gave me a nod. Solid work. Now go deal with your HOA mess. Don't let it jeopardize your cover. Back in Willow Creek, the air felt heavy. Neighbors avoided my eyes, and another HOA notice awaited me, this time threatening legal action if I didn't pay the fines. I was done playing defense. I called a lawyer, Sarah Klein, who specialized in HOA disputes. She reviewed my EVY Denkelila's photos, the police report, witness statements, and whistled. This is a slam dunk for a CIVYL suit, she said. We can go after her for damages, maybe even a restraining order. The EVY tie-in threats a bluff, they'd need a court order, and they've got nothing. Do it, I said. I want her stopped. Sarah filed the suit, and I prepared for the next HOA meeting, determined to expose Monica publicly. Then an unexpected ally emerged. Evelyn, a retired teacher who'd lived in Willow Creek for decades. She clashed with Monica over a fine for her rose bushes and was fed up. "She's a bully," Evelyn told me, her eyes fierce. "I've got stories from 10 other neighbors she's terrorized. Let's take her down together." Evelyn and I gathered affida VY accounts of Monica's threats, inflated fines, even a case where she'd had a family's mailbox removed for being too shiny. We planned to present everything at the meeting, aiming for a recall vote to oust her. The night of the meeting, the community center buzzed with tension. Monica stood at the podium, her smile tight, her allies glaring from the front row. She droned on about upholding standards, casting pointed looks my way. When she finished, Evelyn rose, her voice clear. "We're here to discuss your leadership, Monica, or rather, your abuse of it." I stepped forward, laying out the cement incident with calm precision. I passed out copies of Lila's photos, watching gasps ripple through the crowd. Monica's face flushed, but she tried to interrupt. "Those are fabricated. He's been a nuisance." Evelyn cut her off. "Let him finish." Nate and Lila spoke next, corroborating my story. Then neighbors stood, one by one, sharing their own grievances. The room crackled with defiance. Monica slammed her gavel. "This is a witch hunt." I followed the bylaws to the letter. Ethan's car was a hazard, and I took action. Sarah, who'd come to observe, stood. "I'm Mr. Caldwell's attorney. Pouring cement on a vehicle isn't in any Bilowitz vandalism. If the HOA defends this, you're all liable." The board squirmed. Evelyn seized the moment. I moved for a vote to remove Monica Hargrove as president. Chaos erupted, shouts, arguments, Monica's gavel pounding uselessly. When the ballots were counted, the result was clear. Monica was out. She stormed from the room, vowing revenge, but the tide had turned. In the weeks that followed, Sarah's suit gained traction. Monica's defense that she'd acted for the greater good fell apart against the photos and testimony. She was ordered to pay for the Spectre's repairs, a hefty sum that reportedly forced her to sell her home and leave town. The HOA, under Evelyn's interim leadership, rewrote its rules to prioritize fairness over control. The Spectre returned from the shop, its finish gleaming once more, though it bore faint scars only I could see. My missions continued, my cover intact. Standing in my driveway one quiet evening, I ran a hand over the car's hood, feeling a hard-won peace. Monica had underestimated me, thinking she could break me with her petty tyranny. But I'd faced worse threats than her, and I'd learned that sometimes the hardest battles aren't fought in shadows, but in the open, where truth and resolve can shift the world. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.